I'd say. And for him, it's time to see if he can get the best performance he's ever had in a DreamHack Masters. And that is move on to the next round. In the top left side, we're looking at the main base of that young Polish Protoss who's living in Germany. It is Krystianer.
And spawning over in the bottom right-hand side of Lightshade as our red Terran, it is Liquid's uThermal. Yeah, it's good that you point that out about Krystianer because he's definitely on the up and up. I know like MMR-wise is a big thing for us. He's definitely peaked at like 6.9, but that was quite some time ago. His style is very aggressive, very in your face, but he's shown some really good games and good results this season already. Like even taking a best of 3 off Showtime, which nobody expected, let's be fair, but ooh, this game's already starting a little bit wild from uThermal here with the double gas.
Krystianer expected it though. He tweeted out. He said nobody believed in me, but I believed in myself. So that was one believer. Yeah. After he beat Showtime, that was his tweet. Almost word for word. It very close. I'm not making stuff up. But yeah, uThermal indeed opening up with double gas here. Krystianer is scouting quite early. I gotta say, Lightshade, I think that's a map where if I'm Krystianer, I'd be very wary to just drop a Twilight Council, go up to 3 bases, make a couple probes, and assume that I'm safe with 4 Stalkers, because I feel that those are the kind of builds that uThermal is really, really good at punishing.
Yeah, I mean, uThermal, like we all know that he's a bit of a maverick when it comes to his strategy choices. Like some of them will be absolutely amazing and he'll look like a genius, right? And his micro, I'll never forget the fact or the way that he can micro his units. Back a long time ago when it was him and Hero Marine, the top 2 Terrans, uThermal always had the sicker micro, man. He was always that kind of guy, like his Reaper control. Obviously, these are kind of different times, but he's still exceptionally good. And whenever he does a build like this is the kind of thing that can catch your opponent off guard, but ooh, this is very good scouting by him.
Finds the probe immediately. I can't believe that we are 2 minutes into our first game, Ben, and you have already lost 1 follower on Twitter. Hero Marine just unfollowed you, mate. For that comment alone, Gabe is done with you. I've got it firsthand.
I wondered who you were on about then. I was like, who did I offend? And I was like, I didn't bring up anyone except, of course, Big Gabe, Lord Gabe. So actually getting that probe kill, you might be like, that isn't the biggest deal, but like Krystianer right now, he has no idea if he's against like a 1 base, a 2 base, or anything like that. So running over this Adept, he wants the confirmation, but this is also kind of like a sacrificial Adept at this point, because no way can that win the fight against, well, 2 Reapers and a Hellion. So trying to survive here, it's going to be rough.
Ooh, barely makes it home, but there is no shield battery in the main base. There's no shield battery in the natural. Now, this is actually really going to hurt, because once you lose this Adept, and this Adept is 2 hits away from dying, there's the first hit, there's the second. The only firepower that Krystianer has here is a single Stalker. A single Stalker is not going to win the fight against 2 Reapers. 2 Stalkers, however, will. And uThermal is okay with trading out a Reaper for a Stalker. This is obviously not great for Krystianer, but I also gotta say, Ben, I much rather lose my Adept and my Stalker than lose 7 probes.
I'm with you. I think chasing the Stalker there was probably the right call by uThermal to try and get it. But yes, as far as Krystianer's concerned, he's like, oh, well, that was your opening, and it kind of didn't slow me down economically, which you already slowed yourself down economically going for double gas and a later natural. He's probably going to be feeling like he's not in too bad shape, and he is following this up with a 4-gate Blink Stalker build.
And I would absolutely feel the same way if I'm him. Like, it obviously doesn't feel too good to lose a Stalker early on, but those Terran units are a little bit faster than the Stalker without Blink. If they really want to kill it, they simply are going to kill it. I think it's safe to say that this could have all been a lot worse for Krystianer. Now, this is where things get a bit interesting. uThermal is revealing the fact that he's got his medevac here, but he doesn't want to fly in. Krystianer wants to send his Stalkers to the other side of the map, but he also knows the moment he sends those Stalkers to the other side of the map, that's when the medevac shows up. And that might actually trigger him to not send those Stalkers to the other side of the map. Or do you think we're still... I mean, with 4 gateways and a robo, you kind of want to poke though, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you definitely want to poke. He's sending over a probe to the 3rd base to potentially take it as this push happens, but uThermal is being careful, super careful. We know he can move in, and he goes for that exactly, and
no.
Oh my god, that might be a bit... Oh, okay, good reactions by Krystianer. Good reactions.
Yeah, that actually worked out so well. The second Widowmine shot went up at absolutely nothing. These are the little moments, though, where I feel that Clem would not let those two mines fire. Clem would let one mine fire. He might even just unburrow it. Why settle for a single probe? Why drop only one mine in the main? Or I forget about that, as we have the first tank just going down immediately. This is honestly starting to look a bit dicey for uThermal. He does have the other turret to buy some time. This bunker needs to get repaired. The bunker won't get repaired. So Krystianer with his first wave gets the tank and the bunker.
I mean, that was a great blink. I think that was the perfect amount of Stalkers to take it down in one shot. Oh, no cancel on that bunker either. This is spiraling out of control a bit. I know he's still got that medevac on the other side, but Krystianer isn't even all in with this. He's got a third on the way.
Yep. I mean, he's obviously quite committed, especially whopping in more Stalkers. The medevac drop is gonna go in one more time. This time, Krystianer does not pull. Good split on the probe on the right, but the left Widowmine shot is that cash money shot that uThermal was looking for. This time, he gets 7 or 9, yeah, 7 kills, I guess, in total. I mean, that's pretty good. And that definitely brings uThermal back in this game, but he's not quite out of the woods yet against all these Stalkers.
No, he isn't. And, excuse me, Krystianer's doing a good thing here with the Warp Prism. I know it's a bit risky because there is the potential of Interference Matrix, but this is just kind of free damage. Oh, I say that, and a Stalker does fall. That's a little bit of a mistake, but still quite a bit of economic damage there.
Yep. Tries to poke in the front as well with a few Stalkers, work a bit on that eBay. He's not gonna get it. uThermal's still absolutely in this. The one downside here for Krystianer is that when you make this many Stalkers, he has 12 on the map, 7 of them already went down, so 19 Stalkers in total. It takes a little while before your Protoss army really gets a lot better. And just Stalkers and Zealots without upgrades against +1 bio. If that bio ball just gets a little bit bigger, Ben, I don't really care how many Zealots and Stalkers you have, you're gonna have a tough time winning the fight.
Certainly, but the Stalkers are back with the Warp Prism, dealing quite a good bit of damage, and he can actually go to the bottom right corner of the base with that Warp Prism and be safe against everything, which is good for him. And now he can recall out if he does so please, if he's worried about Vikings showing up, which we know that they're not going to show up anytime soon. I think Krystianer's handling this really beautifully, actually.
Yes, 14 workers ahead. 3 bases against 2. Stalkers are going to try to lock one more time. You have to be really careful now because Stim is ready. The Marauders are going to Stim. The Marauders won't get the Prism. 3 Marines are not going to get the Prism. Krystianer may pick up on the fact, it's like, that's actually like not enough, not that much bio, right? Where did the medevacs go? Where did all those other bio units go? I know they didn't leave through the front. So I feel like he kind of needs to be aware of this double drop that's heading his way.
I think he does. I mean, that's a fairly exposed third base there. I know there's 4 Zealots, and Zealots are pretty good, but they're not that good. That's going to be 16 Marines with +1.
No!
Oh, these Stalkers! Oh, that was not healthy.
That's -2 Stalkers, and the third one almost went down. There are still a few more Stalkers that are going to try to get 1 or 2 shots off, but they are low on HP. I don't like this for Krystianer anymore. His units are all over the place. He does show up back into the main base. It seems like the War Prism has flown into a Widowmine. The Marines need to kill it, and the Marines do kill it. That's massive. Now uThermal's double drop is unloading on the left side. This game is nuts, and nuts in my eyes favors Terran with +1.
Oh my goodness, and that's 2 Immortals down before the fight even begins. This Raven still has full energy here. Tank is kept alive. The auto turrets do start dropping. Krystianer just lost total control of this game.
He's got no army anymore, Ben. It's 9 army supply. The 2 Stalkers are super low on HP. The Immortal falls. Krystianer, that's pretty much all he has. Those Zealots that he's warping in there, that is it. That is his army. He's now attacking another turret, and that's simply not going to be good enough. uThermal may have lost a bunch of SCVs at home, but who really gives a damn? Because that double drop is still healthy. Where are those probes going? Okay, they're going to try to fight the Marines and the Marauders, but it is not good enough. uThermal, even though he was down behind, or he was down economically, and perhaps behind a little bit in this game, I never hated it, and I do feel that even though Krystianer should have been aware of that double drop leaving, I don't think he was thinking about it, Ben. His units were everywhere besides where they had to be, and there was also no battery at the third or something. He wasn't quite ready for that.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit mishandled by Krystianer, right? Like, I think uThermal is one of these Wild West Terrans that will attack you even if he's under a lot of pressure, which he was. You know, those Stalkers at the front, Stalkers in the back of his base. Even the Widowmine positioning by him, just catching that Warp Prism, then he got to take it down, because that counterattack could have actually maybe kept him in it a lot. But honestly, uThermal, he's a solid player, man. Like, if he's under that kind of pressure, he knows how to get back into it. And it, as you said, he wasn't out of it by any means. So the fact that that double drop went in there and just stayed alive, ransacked that mineral line, and the Zealots queued up like in that little single file, couldn't get past the minerals. I think that is kind of the game play that I was expecting going into this. Just uThermal being kind of crazy, kind of cool, and maybe just catching Krystianer off guard. Like, all it takes is one drop to deal that kind of damage, just one moment.
I almost felt that Krystianer should have tried to keep the game a little bit simpler for himself. Instead of having like an army of stalkers in the center right at the bottom of the map, a couple of warp pins, you're still flying around with your prism. Like, at that point, you're basically forced to focus on 4 different squad of units. And maybe that's why he tried to group up the stalkers to indeed make it simpler for himself. So you could just shave off units one by one. But yeah, he ran up the ramp right when uThermal started moving out. And I feel that that's kind of what started the domino effect, and it just made everything fall apart. One misclick, one misrally, losing a couple of units, and from that point on, he was just chasing the facts, and he wasn't able to tie up the score anymore. In the bottom right side, our Polish Protoss down 0-1. It is Krystianer.
Representing Team Blazer. And spawning over in the top left of Romanticide, it is uThermal. I've enjoyed watching uThermal this season because, I mean, this is one of the reasons why, just because he is quite cheeky. But I've enjoyed him. Like, he's, I won't say super confident, but he's known, and he said things that he's like, yeah, I'm more confident against this player than this player. Like, he's been pretty matter of fact about his level and his play, and the fact that he has made it through that group. And that was a pretty damn tricky group to make it through, honestly. Like, that midfield was exceptionally stacked, but yeah, he's always quite a wild Terran to watch.
I mean, I think a couple of groups had that this season, though, where it felt the midfield was incredibly competitive. And you look at NA has a wild group where Nemcha took 2nd place with 4 wins and 3 losses. And the guy who finished in 7th place had 3 wins and 4 losses. Like, that's insane. 1 series difference between 2nd place and 7th place. And I think maybe not to that extreme, but something similar definitely happened in a few of the European groups. Europe is a very stacked region, and there are a lot of good players that people are not even that familiar with, right, Ben? Like a Soul Spirit, not many people know him, but he's pretty good.
He's pretty good indeed. I heard you talking about that on the Pylon show, and I was like, yeah, like, you're totally right, though, because he is like a 6.2k player, and it's like, he's pretty damn good. Oh, this is definitely cheeky by uThermal. Krystianer does have a Zealot out already. Oh, but this Reaper, the Zealot's been kind of baited by the bunker.
There's a 2nd Reaper on the way as well. Reaper gets the kill immediately. Seems like Krystianer is more occupied in dealing with the bunker than he is dealing with a Reaper in his main base. Now that is kind of working out. At the same time, 2 SCVs have already gone down. So I guess the bunker won't uThermal up, but uThermal already getting some economic damage. And maybe once he gets up to 2 Reapers, he can do a little more.
I mean, potentially, right? But you know what? After thinking about it, I like how Krystianer handled that. I didn't have to get the shield battery, which you normally always have to, and he's going to have a 2nd Stalker out soon as well, which is going to make this easier to deal with. Might lose this Zealot here, which isn't entirely necessary, that's for sure.
Yeah, I guess he could have sent it to his main base immediately, right? But other than that, Zealots are slow, Reapers are fast, and did a good job in not sending that scouting probe back too early, because that would have just ran straight into the Reapers. My probe would have definitely gone down there. I'm with you that I don't really hate how Krystianer dealt with it, but I also don't think it's like that great for him. Since you do lose a couple probes, he lost a bit of mining time on the other probe that could have been back way sooner, and you lose the Zealot. And having that shield battery is something that normally does help you through certain phases of the game too. Now he doesn't have that yet. Instead, the investment he did make already got picked off.
Yeah, uThermal, he's going for the Widow Mines back at home, the early armory as well. Obviously, he's got a delayed command center here, given that he did go for the double gas again, but this could be very good for him or very bad. I mean, Krystianer, he hasn't been skipping steps with that robo. Like, he's always gone for it every time.
That's an early robo as well, man. Like the robo before the 3rd Nexus. That's actually pretty quick. He's going up to 4 gateways again, so Krystianer kind of wants to do the same thing by the looks of it as what he did on Lightshade. This time there is a chance it's going to be more than just 2 Wither Mines, which could also mean that the tank production is going to be a little bit later, but uThermal is already getting a tech lab on his factory, so that may not apply at all. I love it, Krystianer. He just wants to get a scout off. Does get a tiny scout off, I believe, there with his probe. Yep, sees the tech lab, sees the factory. That helps, but the Stalkers are pretty far out of position. It's going to be a War Prism before the Observer. Oh, man, these cloaky boys are going to hurt.
Oh, and I love that by uThermal as well. Oh, I thought he was going to wait a bit longer, actually. This one will get the burr off. A bit of a late reaction by Krystianer. Oh, nice targeting, but he actually handles it very well overall. Burrow in the main, and now he knows,
I want to see
like,
some
oh.
on Burrow. Yeah, exactly, uThermal. Ooh, if you would have went a little bit more. I want to see some retargeting.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, it's still good for uThermal because there's a lot of lost mining time. A couple probes did go down. The Observer is making its way to the main base. Guys, no panic. I feel like... What? Yeah, just keeping you sharp, man. I'm just making sure you're paying attention. But I think it's safe to say that some of these Widow Mine drops, there is more value to be gained if controlled perfectly by the Terran.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a few players, Rise, especially like Terran players, I know a lot of people are like, okay, how well can he split? How well can he micro those kind of units that are very microable indeed? But I noticed a lot of players were doing things with Liberators and Widow Mine specifically that I was more impressed with, because that was new to me. Like just the constant repositioning, the constant unburrowing, the retargeting and stuff. That's the stuff that can really get you, the win or the loss kind of thing. But we are going into this game with Krystianer taking a little bit of damage, getting the third behind it all, and uThermal's actually going up to 3 barracks here. No third CC yet, but very, very defensive setup.
It's funny because it's a late Nexus to macro, but it's an early Nexus for the mass Stalker pressure. Because Krystianer is very committed here, guys. When you make this many Stalkers, you don't have a Forge, you don't have a Robo-Bay Templar Archives, you need to get a lot of damage done. He's going to blink into 2 tanks, a bunker, and another turret. And guess what? He actually kills both tanks, and he kills the bunker too. But he does lose the War Prism, and the War Prism is the only thing that's going to give him high ground vision here. So the moment he blinks to the low ground, he has no way of getting back into this main base.
I mean, that was absolutely ballsy by Krystianer, but I'm not sure if they were well placed. Does get the medevac, which kind of, I guess that got F2'd a little bit, but still warping in 4 Stalkers at a time, getting another Warp Prism as well. Maybe he feels like he has to keep on going with this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about any of it at all, actually. I think uThermal dealt with that pretty well.
I think if he kept the Prism alive, it might be like, you know what? I actually don't hate it, because he got the tank kills very quickly, and then he even got the bunker. So yeah, maybe then you keep the Prism, you warp in a few more Stalkers, you start displaying some nice Blink Stalker micro against the reduced tank count. There would only be probably 1 tank. But after losing the Prism, I think you have to give up. But uThermal's not giving, Krystianer's not giving up. He says pedal to the metal. We will never give up, but this is just not worth it, man. Like, yeah, you get a bunker, you get a tank here. But he has probably lost a solid 12 Stalkers in this game. 13 at this point. No Forge, no Robo-Bay, no Templar Archives. These are not trades that you can really afford as a Protoss.
No, and I mean, these Stalkers as well, even though they're all still alive, or the ones that he has, they're pretty battered and bruised. Like, all that takes is one fight where you got 5 Stalkers that are a lot weaker than normal to go down, and you're in a very problematic situation. But Krystianer, he loves his gateway units. He loves the late upgrades and just getting out a lot of units, and he's going to try and save this Warp Prism, but... Oh, nice dodge on the Widow Mine, actually. He got out of a bad situation there.
Yeah, timed that well. He's popping in more Stalkers, man. This is kind of wild. I guess if we want to just rush into Storm, then maybe we can finally recast a game that was similar to Hero versus Alive, Ben. I know you will never forget that game of the Intox 3 Masters, and neither will I. I think that was 3-3 Terran upgrades against 0-0 Protoss, but a whole lot of Storm. This is starting to look real bad for Krystianer, though.
That was King's Cove, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, that was wild. In fact, as soon as I go down memory lane, Kev, you've got me. That was like the first time that I saw people doing the 2 Adepts flying in against Zergs and getting the kills and then getting the Warp Prism out. That was such a good tournament. Okay, we do have some tech evolution here. So the second Robo on the way, the Robo Bay on the way as well. This is when the Forges are coming in as well for Krystianer. Krystianer has 1 solid tell, by the way, and this, you'll never see him not do it in a PVT. if he's ever making double robo, it's always at his natural. Like, so that is one point that you can scan at a certain point and find out exactly what he's up to.
Fun fact, I did not know that. He is gonna try to get a little more damage on it. No, above the missile turret, mate. Loses the prism. Does have 4 stalkers. These stalkers need to get recalled ASAP. One goes down. One always goes down. Good job there. The other stalkers show up in the front, and they will find a Marine. They find a Marauder. I honestly think at uThermal at this point, it's F2A move, run to the other side of the map. Because Krystianer went from no tech, no upgrades, to all the tech and all the upgrades. Double Robo, Disruptor Colossus, Extended Thermal Lens, and Double Forge. I feel that uThermal's army is way... And there's the Templar Archives too, man. He's getting it all, man. What is this?
It's crazy greed, right? Like, he is the extreme fellow. Like, I talk about players being decisive. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to be decisive, but I'm going to get it all. And here, he actually reacts quite quickly to this drop here, but that would have mine. Oh, okay, that was a long shot. Gets a few probes here, does delay the mining as well, but uThermal scans his third, and nothing's there at all.
No, but there is one Colossus, but there's a Raven here that could drop an interference matrix. Could drop an interference matrix on the Disrupted 2, of course. Overcharged battery is going to keep this army at bay. Krystianer is surviving, hanging in there a little bit. What happened?
The Widowmines in the main did 12 probes worth of damage, and a big anti-armor missile goes down. That is a much weaker army, already behind in upgrades as well.
The Widowmines in a natural fight again because the Disruptor didn't clean them up the first time. So uThermal doesn't even really need to win the fight here. After killing 17 probes, he knows he's in a good spot. And these mines in the main, they're going to fire one more time. Let's see if we can get a good shot of uThermal, or we're going to auto-target. Could have been a bit more, but...
It could have been, but to say that these Widowmines got like 20 kills between them are more than successful, right? Oh, and I love this, just being annoying. That Widowmine on the high ground. Oh, 28, you kidding me?
I love that the one probe that was mining on the bottom side of the mineral patch actually goes back into the mineral line, and then it caused a few more casualties. Yeah, this is what happens, guys, when you go from no tech to all the tech immediately. Like, he's had a Templar Archives for minutes, but then he never did anything with it. I don't hate the fact he didn't make Archons, because I don't think Archons were going to make the difference there. But if you make a Templar Archives that quickly, as this mine just fires again, poor Krystianer is turning into Nightmare Series. I wish he would have just stuck on Stalker Zealot Storm then, Ben.
He missed the Widowmine as well with that Disruptor. Like, maybe unusual graphics settings here, but no, I'm with you, Kev. I think he made a lot of unusual decisions here. Like, even the amount of Stalkers that he made early game, and he kept on going, even though it was kind of like batting your head against a brick wall. But uThermal's done everything right, because a lesser player might have given Krystianer the time, but here, oh, that Disruptor! Bloody hell.
There is a triple drop heading in the main base, though. The Widowmine is still firing in the natural too, so even though that Disruptor shot may have been decent, uThermal gets a convincing 2-0 lead in the end. I think it's time for our Polish body to go back to the drawing board and maybe realize that staying on the relatively weak economy, because Protosses can go up to 3 bases 4 minutes into a game, and making that many Stalkers is not the right way to go about it. uThermal is completely okay with these trades. It's like, you want to make 20 plus Stalkers over 2 base Protoss economy to kill my tanks and bunkers? Sure, have at it, buddy. Like, I'm gonna be okay. And of course, the Widowmine defense could have been a bit better down the line, but I don't think the position was very nice to begin with.
Yeah, I think if you go for the Blink Stalker stuff, like losing the Warp Prism when you're that kind of committed, you were right. I mean, it slows down the snowball a lot. And the fact that he went for like 4 rounds of 4 Stalker Warpins afterwards as well, like, that was so damn committed. You have to try and get something done. uThermal's just done a good job of just being ready for the next steps. Like, these Stalkers, they've started off pretty solid, like taking out the tanks and what have you. But it shows that uThermal is pretty damn composed, because he's almost predicting everything. Like, yes, he's taking a bit of damage, but I feel he's actually handling a lot of the brunt of Krystianer. And then it's about like, now it's my turn. And it's Krystianer that's not really handling the switch of momentum, which, yeah, it's unfortunate, but it doesn't really get much easier. Like, Beckett will be our next map between these two. And that's one of the shortest rush distance maps that we've ever had.
Could very well be a Void Ray map. Maybe we just try to trigger those Terrans a little bit with a proxy target and a couple of batteries. I do like how uThermal is patient, even when I feel like he's taking some damage. He's not rushing, and I feel like he's not displaying or broadcasting the moves he's gonna make too early, which makes it easy for Krystianer to get ready. He's taking his time. He's like, no, I know that the window will be there. I know that opportunities will present themselves, and then I think it's safe to say the Dutchman is really capitalizing on them. He's playing well. He's up 2-0, hailing from the Netherlands, the red Terran player in this game, representing Team Liquid. It is uThermal.
And representing Team Blazer in the northeast side is the blue Protoss. It is Krystianer. And also, Kev, like we haven't really mentioned it, but uThermal, he's not necessarily playing like the super cookie cutter builds, right? Like the first game was the double gas.
Yeah.
Second game it was the double gas with the proxy barracks and stuff. Like he's definitely playing slightly offbeat styles. Obviously, they have the Widowmine drop follow-ups and stuff as well, but he is playing a game that can make you a little uncomfortable if you're not used to playing it all the time.
Yep, but I also think that's what we expected, no? uThermal is not a guy that's going to go Reaper, CC, low ground 5 games in a row when he has 2 or 3 days to get ready for a series. That's just not what he does. That's never really been the type of player that he's been, ever. uThermal likes to come prepared. He likes to have a certain set of strategies for specific maps and then just execute them to the fullest of his ability.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I get to play Krystianer a lot on the ladder, actually, and he has a few builds that he really likes to stick to. One, that 4-gate Blink Stalker, he absolutely loves it. The other one that I haven't seen him do yet, or in fact, he has 3 main strategies, Gav, 3 main strategies. I can talk about it here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Loves his DT drop, but also he's a big fan of the Oracle openings. A real big fan. Oh, this Zealot, he actually finished it, and he's just going to run it across the map. This is unusual here, and he's been relying off 1 gas for some time.
I feel like he missed quite some build time on his Adept there, though. That Cybercore was done. It may not seem like a big deal if it's like 3 seconds, but I think every second really, really, really counts when you're opening up with a Zealot and you want to rally your first units to the other side of the map. The Reaper has been at home for quite some time. It is actually leaving the ramp now. It is going to come back, but it still might allow this Zealot to get a couple swipes off on these SCVs or maybe even a Marine.
Yeah, absolutely. uThermal quite quick to react before this Zealot actually got a hit off, and yeah, this poor Zealot just playing Ring Around the Rosie. Oh, uThermal, that's a big pull. Maybe a little unnecessary. Oh, this Adept, I'm not sure it wants to be here, Kev, because I mean, what was that? That was like an Adept and a Zealot for 1 Marine and some lost mining time. Not worth it at all.
That is indeed what it was. And I feel like if that Adept is there a bit sooner, then it's just way more likely that the Zealot gets a couple hits off, right? Because uThermal was a very, very good Terran player. If all he has to do is out-micro a Zealot, he will do that. But if you also have to worry about an Adept, that's where it becomes possible for the Zealot to get a couple swipes off. Now a Reaper just dives into this natural. And I'm starting to feel this is just one of these when it rains, it pours kind of scenarios for Krystianer. Really does feel that almost everything goes wrong. Of course, the Reaper survives too with 12 HP. It is not his series so far, Ben.
Absolutely isn't. And, you know, some of these things that he's lined up, it can work against lesser players, but against uThermal, just he's been bulletproof so far. He's really been taking the punches and doing well. And this game, Krystianer's absolutely mixing it up here. I haven't seen this from him, and maybe this is one of those, I'm so far down and out, I feel, that I'm just going to go for charge before anything, and it's going to be a tough one for uThermal to predict, because right now, seeing this, I wouldn't guess that, and oh, he's going for the DTs, Kev.
A while ago, I saw a wild build from a Russian Protoss where it was like 8 gates Zealot charge, and then suddenly there were Archons too. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Now, the first thing I thought of when I saw charge first here is like, hey, that's maybe somewhat similar to what Skillers tried to do against Claymore when they played on 2K Atmosphere. But I think that was a little bit different because Skillers was really going to do it as a macro opening just to find some damage. I have the feeling Krystianer wants to do more than just some damage. On the other hand, he does have a probe ready to warp in a third next one, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to sell the idea that he's going for Blink Stalkers again. Like, he's super damn trying to sell that. But we know that he isn't going for the Blink at all. He's going for the charge. That Adept on the other side of the map falling to the bunker, that was definitely a bit sad. But I mean, I like his idea behind it because he's in the position that he is behind. Make no mistake about it. Everything's kind of gone tits up so far. So he has to do something a bit wild. But uThermal, he's even got a Raven on the other side of the map. Like, he's more than prepared for these shenanigans.
What was that, man? What was up?
You know, that nice, famous British phrase for when things are going wrong.
I am actually not familiar with it, but I love it.
Oh, you've never heard it before?
No.
You know, sometimes I forget what's super British and what's not, and what's like well known. And yeah, that was definitely a Britishism. Thank you, Kev.
No, I love it, mate. I love it. I was just making sure if I heard it correctly, but apparently I did. Now, uThermal does see this War Prism. He's going to see that an Archon gets out of it. Archon gets a shot up on the Raven. Ideally for Krystianer, he gets a couple of nice shots up on the Marines. It seems like something went wrong there in the build because he had to wait a long time before he could warp in that final DT so he could finally have his double Archon opener. Now, the fact that he has charge before Blink, it'd be super nice for Krystianer if uThermal would make an early move out with a relatively small army, right? And then suddenly, surprise, surprise, here are my Zealots getting on top of your Marines without stim. uThermal's not going for one of those builds though, but I still think there is potential for Krystianer with where he's going in this game. I don't hate it, man.
Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, Kev. Like, I think Krystianer, he's playing the kind of greedy game behind this, which I think is good. uThermal, on the other hand, he sees this, and he's probably going to notice that this kind of build lacks splash damage massively. Like, of course, you have the Archons, but he's going up to 5 barracks. He's getting the stim, the +1, the combat shields all simultaneously. I think the wall-off was a really smart move as well, so no DTs can trickle on by while you're defending in the main. I really love uThermal's position here. And maybe this is our Terran versus Protoss, you know, a bit of our what we like for our own races kind of thing. But I think uThermal's making all the correct calls.
I think that Krystianer needs a really good engagement, or he needs to pull uThermal apart with a nice little weapon in the main base. That is going to happen. uThermal, like, if I look at that army of uThermal that's moving out right now, and you're asking me, is that an army that's going to end the game forever? Is that going to steamroll everything? I don't know, man. I think there is potential for Krystianer, but he needs to make sure that he doesn't take an atrocious fight at home. The shield battery not quite ready yet. Shield battery almost ready. But imagine these mines dealing a bit of friendly fire. There are 2 Immortals in the mix too. The interference matrix is nice. One Widow Mine gets picked off. Zealots coming in from the right. A lot of workers are dying on both sides, but I still think there is a lot of potential for Krystianer here.
There's some, is there some Artosis pylons in the main? Oh my god, Kev, look at that. The Artosis pylon in the main, it was powering up 5 gateways. And he just killed it. That's a lot of his, but you're absolutely right. This game is getting very chaotic now, but there is no warp-in potential anymore for Krystianer. But uThermal's been sent home packing, and bloody hell, these Archons and that warping in the main definitely slowed things down.
I actually think, oh, there's a big mine connection. My goodness, that's nice for uThermal. I mean, Krystianer is still ahead by 18 workers. I think it would have gone better for uThermal if that double drop was not heading towards the main, but it would have stayed with the main army. Because then I think, Ben, you're right. He's creating an army that can't lose the fight against an army that doesn't have Colossus or Storm. But when it's super split up everywhere, I think that's kind of where Zealots and Archons can really shine. And I think uThermal missed out on some potential. He can still win it. He still has a big army. And Krystianer has a lot of supplies scattered across the map. But it kind of needs to be now or never for uThermal.
Oh, the recall is pretty late, and before it happened, oh, that Widow Mine, will it get the Immortal? And a Stalker as well. DTs are whooped in, the Warp Prism goes down, and uThermal, I think that was a pretty good trade to start things off, and yeah, uThermal does go home packing again, but remember, he's on 5 barracks here. He is super all in, he hasn't been making any SVs. This game is chaotic.
And Krystianer is going to drop the Robobay. Look at the amount of minerals in Krystianer's bank. Obviously, he's floating a bit because a lot of his gates were unpowered. One gateway is actually still unpowered in the main, but we're going to let that one slide. He's going to power it now with that final pylon. Just more units, Krystianer. An extra battery won't hurt. Like these beefy, high HP units in front of a battery. I don't see a couple of Marines take them out. uThermal agrees, and that's why he's going to send the triple drop towards the main base.
I think Krystianer might be misreading this a little bit, though. Like getting the Robobay and the Forge. I think he thinks he's playing a different game to what's going on. Like uThermal, He knows that he has to kill Krystianer sometime soon, and I don't think Krystianer's quite realized that. Maybe he does now, though.
Nice battery overcharge in the main base is going to buy Krystianer some time. There is an army running into the third base too. I do think you're spot on. The forge is a bit unnecessary. But let's just see if Krystianer can hang in a little bit longer. I think at the third he's going to be okay. A lot of his units are not fighting. They're just running all over the place. It is hard to keep those medevacts at bay when you barely have any NPR. The stalker count is at 4. I still think that every second that goes by is a good one for the man with those high HP Immortals, high HP Archons. Getting a couple of medevac kills too now. I think Krystianer has done it, Ben. I think he's going to get one on the board.
I think so as well. Like, his economy's so much better. He can't be too reckless, though. These Widow Mines can deal good damage, but he's cleaning them up in uThermal. That's a big concave, Kevin. Does Krystianer want to be taking this?
I mean, Immortals have a lot of HP. They've got a lot of firepower, even without upgrades. Apparently, the answer is barely yes, but I don't think he should be taking it, to put it like that. He's up a lot in workers. He's up economically. He's stacking into a Robo Bay. As long as he can get a decent trade, it's going to be okay. I love the target fire of the Immortals on the Marauders. Nice pickup there by uThermal too, my goodness. Both players microing the heart out. Krystianer just lost all his units. I still think he's going to be okay, Ben, but my goodness, was that unnecessary?
And you know what? He's been making pros behind all this too. Like, I really think he misread what the situation was entirely. Or you know, it's just like, okay, I'm ahead. Make sure I don't forget the fundamentals, and he keeps on going with it. But uThermal, like, again, he's got to keep on. He's even bringing the boys at this point. Krystianer knows exactly what's up.
Well, that is smart. One Colossus is almost out, though, and I think that Colossus will come out. Krystianer really has no gas mining in his main base. You can just see how stressful of a series and a game this is for him. But batteries are good. Battery overcharge is even better. Skillus is ready to clip it in case this goes wrong. Skillus, I think you can get ready for your PvP, mate. This one won't go wrong. Big Daddy Colossus is almost out, and that one should have a field day against SCVs and Marines.
Yeah, I mean, when uThermal sees that, and he's like, what? You were holding on? And you got a Robo? Yeah, that's obviously a big win. I mean, Shield Battery was used, but yeah, too little, too late for uThermal, I think. And Krystianer is going to hold on here.
Yep, a couple of Marauders are left, but only one medevac. uThermal knows that he needs to kill that Colossus, but he can't get on top of it. And if you can't kill it, you're just going to lose all your Marines. You're going to lose all the SCVs. That is going to do it. Krystianer gets his first W on the board. And I find this a very interesting game. What are you giggling at, then?
Did you not see Krystianer's reaction to winning the map?
Something, he was smiling and a fist bump?
He was like, yes, like, it was as if he won the series, you know? It was
okay.
Lovely to see because, yeah, you don't want to go down 3-0. And I mean, this was a game that was pretty hectic, and I don't think any of that opening went good for him at all. So thinking about that, the fact that it kind of went, well, he managed to get a map on the board. That's great. And it's lovely to see that kind of, those reactions as well from the youngster.
I do believe that it's time for us to head into a quick break as we have played 3 maps. So that means we'll see you in 3 minutes for Game 4 of uThermal versus Krystianer.
Krystianer takes a map to get back on into the series here as he was 2-0 down against uThermal, and boy, oh boy, was he happy. He looked super enthusiastic after winning that map, and it's refreshing to see that kind of emotion going down. But we've had a lot of it here at this DreamHack, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, especially yesterday, right? On one hand, it was beautiful to watch the happiness of Marine Lord, but definitely a bit sad and painful to watch Clan being so upset. But yeah, that's competition, right? There's a winner, there's a loser, and it's kind of what we do it all for. It makes it all beautiful. Let's go ahead and hop into game 4 as one of the STVs is being sent out already for the Dutchman. Representing Team Liquid, still in the lead, it is uThermal.
2K Atmosphere will be our map here, the 4th map of the series. Spawning over in the top right as the blue Protoss, it is Krystianer. Do you have any game in mind, Kevin, that really either got you super emotional in the right way or very sad, given that you lost, or what have you?
When I was playing?
Yeah, when you were playing. Or maybe even as a viewer. Let's make it a 2-part question.
As a viewer, I remember like when I watched Raynor versus Classic on Lost and Found. That was one of the biggest emotional swings. I thought that game was so epic. It was such a high quality game, and you know, people often say, "Oh, I'm on the edge of my seat." Well, I truly was. You know, I was jumping, and I feel like we always remember the very first code as one of the first ones with the battle cruises being how was it called? Black Hole Vortex. You know, that was epic. Those are moments that I think really get you going. As a player, I don't know. I need to go deep into tank. I mean, when I think of Heartbreak, I think of my game 5 against Tulir, obviously, of last year. Could have been me, Ben. You could have been casting me, but I managed to lose against Hydras with carriers and disruptors. It still hurts. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this game, uThermal's opted for a proxy Rax, and Krystianer, he's respecting this. He's getting a Zealot out. He's been scouting the main base. He's using the barracks isn't there, so he kind of knows what he's up against. And an engineering bay block with a proxy barracks as well. This isn't something that you see every day.
No, of one base, but I don't hate it. uThermal is trying to dictate the pace one more game. As we see the Zealot already out. Krystianer not going for the approach that a lot of other players go for, where they pull a couple probes immediately. I don't really hate this response, as long as you follow it up in a way where you know you can deal with Hellions. This is kind of cool. uThermal even building a bunker at this Neil Nexus. Curious to see if it's going to go up or not.
I love seeing 3 red splodges on the opposite side of the map with 1 SCV. It's like uThermal's playing a PVZ here with like the cannon rushing attempts. But yeah, the Stalker is out, the Zealot is out. I actually think Krystianer is dealing with all this pretty damn well. It does get a little bit trickier now that there's 2 Reapers on the field. But uThermal, he's being sneaky and sly here. And this isn't the kind of game that Krystianer's used to playing whatsoever.
Nope. First probe is gonna fall. Second probe is in a lot of danger and goes down too. And even the Zealot could potentially fall. And the bunker is close to finishing up. The bunker will finish up. Okay, this is really annoying because now there's not even a probe here. I want to say to build a battery, but the probe does show up. It's still gonna take a while. I think if Krystianer doesn't mess up, he shouldn't lose any more units. But this is an annoying start. It's not necessarily ultra bad, but it's definitely really annoying.
Yeah, and I mean, Krystianer has to respect that jump-up path into his main as well. Like, that's a big, big possibility there. But yeah, that body blocking from the Reapers against that Zealot to keep that SV alive was actually a really big deal. That was beautifully done. And uThermal sees that shield battery goes up, and he's like, you know what? I've already done enough here. No point pushing my luck. And yeah, like the damage has kind of been indirectly done. So very nice start by uThermal, and he's going into the Widowmine drop with the Armory again afterwards as well. And I mean, why not? It did quite well on Romanticide.
Yeah, that's an understatement. It did very well. Reapers being annoying, getting a couple shots off, they're not going to get any more kills here. I would have preferred a Stargate follow-up from Krystianer, given the conditions. I think Stargates really shine anyway in low eco scenarios, and with the opening that uThermal went for, his economy is not that great, and I think that's when Stargate units are the very best. It's going to be so hard for Krystianer not to take damage from follow-up aggression when your natural becomes your third base.
Yeah, I'm with you. And he's going for the 4-gate Blink Stalker again, which, you know, it hasn't actually worked out that well for him so far in this series. Like the one game that he won, it was the one game that he wasn't doing this. Granted, that was a bit of a weird game there on Beckett, but hey, let's see how he deals with this.
I have a question. You see where this Stalker is standing in the main base of Krystianer on the high ground? Can you drop a Widow Mine on that little plateau?
Yeah, I think you can, Kev.
Because I've seen Marines going strong there. Gabe a while ago had the time of his life in a weekly where he got like 9 drone kills with a single Marine. I've actually never seen a Widow Mine being burrowed there. Ooh, Krystianer almost sent his workers back a little too soon. I feel like that would be a really good spot to put a mine.
I mean, it absolutely would be. I mean, you can't deal with it with the probes like this one's being dealt with, but I think Krystianer's actually dealing with this pretty decently, honestly. Like, he hasn't lost too much considering it is pretty tricky, but uThermal's also done a good job of just being absolutely a nuisance with it.
And the most important thing is that uThermal still has his medevac around. The medevac did not go down, and that's something that Krystianer still needs to respect. So our Polish brothers is going to try to go up to 3 bases, 5 minutes and 26 seconds into the game. So it's not super early, but it's also not as late as in some of the previous games, which gives me the idea, Ben, that he wants to transition a lot quicker, and that's why you can already see the first forge go down.
Yeah, and Kevin, do you want to make a bet on where the Robos and... Oh, in fact... No, the Robo's here. Okay, no, I take it back.
Yeah,
take it back
I want to make a bet, Ben. I want to make a bet. Tell me, what's the bet? What's the bet?
No, it's done. It's done. Okay, I dare say the other. In fact, now I'm curious where he'll put his second Robo if the game goes on. Will he put it at the third as well with that other Robo? I remember talking to Lobo a long time ago, and he was talking about where he puts his tech structures, and he puts it all on the same screen.
Oh, the Widow Mine from downtown. Steph Curry with the shot. Oh my goodness. Could have been worse, but still a good shot.
Yeah, three probes, and that's something you have to deal with. The Warp Prism is on the other side of the map, though, and it does have 4 Stalkers in. I mean, that's an annoying spot to deal with. The tank is out of range here.
Yeah, 2 SCVs go down. You definitely don't want to lose your Raven. Krystianer looks at that Raven. He wants it. He gets it, and only loses a single Stalker. That's a solid trade. I'll trade out a Stalker for a Raven any day of the week.
Yeah, me too. I was a bit surprised they didn't interference matrix the Warp Prism when that kind of blink happened, because then it's like, well, what are you going to do now? Because that would have been 4 Stalkers dead, minimum. But yeah, uThermal definitely didn't trade as well there, and this medevac is going to fly over these blink Stalkers as well. I'm starting to not dislike Krystianer's position so much this game, you know?
Nope. I kind of like that he's transitioning a bit quicker. He is going to get an upgrade too. We are once more seeing that early Templar archives. This is actually a nice catch on this. This actually happened on Beckett too, right? When he had the 2 Archons and he spotted the initial move out, and I think it made his life a bit easier. He does it again. I got to say, Krystianer's Prism movement, as long as he keeps it alive, has been pretty good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, this is absolutely case in point that being aggressive is also being defensive, trying to find a way in, but stopping uThermal from getting a way out. Very nicely handled by Krystianer. And this game is far more in his comfort zone. Like the Stalkers, if this army does leave the base, hopefully he can find it, but uThermal, you give him an inch, he's going to take your whole arm.
Well, are you making fun of me, Ben?
No, what did you say? When you give them a finger, you take... Is that what you said?
Yeah, when you give him a finger, he takes your whole hand.
Yeah, I thought that was so funny when you said that. Even though I found out that the saying is different depending on which country you're from, you know?
Oh, sandwich. Yep, we're going to have to recall them. That's actually a good recall. Loses 1, 2, 3, almost 4 even, but still better than losing everything. The Warp Prism did flew into a Widow Mine, so it took a lot of damage, but the Zealot's still finding some damage. And hey, this is not all that bad, because you look at the minimap, and the main army of uThermal is coming all the way back to deal with this. And a lot of these units have been stimmed as well. Okay, was it the Prism?
Yeah, the Prism died to the Widow Mine in the mineral line there, which that's definitely unfortunate, because having that Warp Prism behind the main base and the natural, that means you have to respect it and wait for an air unit to deal with it if you want to. But now uThermal, he's got nothing stopping him from just crossing the map.
He's actually building Liberators too. He's getting extra turrets up. uThermal very worried about a Dark Shrine. We know there is no Dark Shrine, but as a Terran player, you probably have nightmares about those invisible men swiping up the SCVs. That is a lot of Widow Mines, by the way. Moving this with Zealots is going to get very, very difficult. Stalker's looking for a tank. Nice hot pickup by uThermal.
Yeah, I mean, they're both handling this very well. 5 Immortals are in this army, but that is a crap ton of Zealots. And as you said, Kevin, that amount of Widow Mines, there's 10 on the field. Now 8, but still, Krystianer, he's going for it.
I don't know if this is the right way to go about it. The Zealots completely disappeared. The Stalkers from behind did clean up a couple of units, and at least all the tanks are gone, but that's still a lot of bio units. There's a lot of micro potential in this Terran army, and let's not forget about those Liberators, man. The first Lib is showing up, and I look at this army of Krystianer, the amount of NTR he currently has, 1 sentry. That's his NTR.
It's not good enough, is it? It's not good enough. And there are, okay, a few more Stalkers do join in. The Zealots are running in. There's no Guardian Shield. Where's that beautiful Guardian Shield?
It's just Immortals, man. Like 2 Stalkers and a couple sentries is still not enough to gun down 2 Liberators. One of them is very low in HP, but I actually believe that the Flying Dutchman is quite close to closing this one out. It's still 72 army supply against 42, and I just don't see a way for Krystianer to comfortably get on top of all these units of uThermal. The wild thing is, man, uThermal's doing this of 3 barracks. It's not a 5 barracks, 2 base all in. It's 3 barracks with a couple of defensive pistol turrets, but the very, very early transition into Liberators. Liberators and Widow Mines make this a very complicated army to engage.
Oh, and you know what? Even the 2 Liberators are scary, but the 3rd and 4th joining the fray. Krystianer is going to leap on it, realizing that is the case. And there's 1 Liberator with 1 health remaining, pretty much, but there's just too much firepower at the top of this ramp. The shield battery overcharge is gone, and the counterattack from Krystianer as well. He's like, where's your 3rd, mate? Where's your 3rd? uThermal don't have one. And here, uThermal, this position that he's got at the top of this ramp is so hard to deal with.
And we are going to warp in a few more High Templars and Archons, but that's just not going to make the difference. That is not the anti-air that Krystianer needs either. He needed to do a better job in keeping those Stalkers alive, but uThermal just had a really good spread on his Widow Mines. A lot of the Stalkers got blown up before the fight started. All the probes are being pulled. This is a last-ditch effort by Krystianer. He does have a lot of high HP units, but my goodness, Liberators are good when there is nothing to stop them.
Certainly. The Immortals are the last unit remaining, living up to their name, but GG is called, and uThermal, a massive sigh of relief.